You've probably seen the buzz about NanoBanana, the new AI image editor that claims to give designers precise control. It's powerful, but it's not magic. In this video, I'm not here to hype it up. I've been testing NanoBanana inside my free community, the Design Success Circle, and today I'll show you what actually works. Because AI tools change fast, specific tool workflows expire quickly. So instead of fixed recipes, I'll show you the skills that transfer across any tool. If you're just getting started with NanoBanana, I recommend watching my first video where I walk through the basics of using it as an interior designer. I'll link it here and in the description. That video gives you a simple workflow to get you up and running. But in this video, we're going to go deeper. I'll show you real tests, which I have documented in the community, and you'll see how it performs across different use cases, what worked well and what didn't work well. And make sure that you watch until the end, because that's where I'll share pro tips for improving your images when things don't quite come out right. I've divided the use cases into 4 main categories, and in each category, you will find between 5 to 10 individual use cases, so around 20 plus. And without further ado, let's jump into the screen share. So here we are in the Design for Success Circle, and this is where I document the experiments, images, and prompts that will help you refine your image generation in tools such as NanoBanana. You will see that there is a whole heap of prompts which are getting updated regularly, and this community is completely free. You'll see a link in the description. What you will actually find is that you will be able to see the prompts, see the experiments that I've made, and then test it out in your own image generation. And you'll be able to experiment yourself with those prompts. As we're going to be going through 20 plus use cases, what I'm going to do is actually just zip you through the 20 use cases, and you can head over here to the AI Success Circle and get all the prompts, have a detailed look at all of the images that were created. So let's hop into it. So in this first section, we're going to talk about interior visualization. This includes tasks like emptying a room of furniture, refurnishing with new pieces, swapping wall colors, finishes, and flooring, trying multiple lighting conditions, showing seasonal decor changes, and generating alternate furniture layouts, to name a few. Let's jump in. So I've done things like empty a room of furniture, and you can see I've had differing success with that. And within this area, I also give a little bit of advice of how I've actually changed the prompts. So I've refurnished a room with new pieces, and this particular example I've documented in great detail in my previous NanoBanana video, which you will find in the description. I was able to swap wall colors. As you can see, I was able to change the lighting. Another use case, which is a bit more fun, is to show seasonal decor changes and also then changing the style of a room. So I have this room here, which I redesigned in a brutalist style with a black and white palette, and it did that quite well. As designers, you may have an image that you've taken from a photo shoot, and you feel like you need a couple more images just to kind of flesh out the piece. And this is what this can do. So I've gone into it in great detail in this Instagram post, and there's a link here. But essentially what we can do is take a couple of images from a photo shoot and create different angles of those images, giving it a little bit more dimension so you can add them to your website or your social media, and even create videos. And in this Instagram post, I actually did end up creating a video from all these different angles. In this section, we're going to explore materials and finishes. We're going to do things like create material swatches, generate seamless tileable textures, change upholstery finishes, get macro close-ups of material surfaces, countertops and cabinets, Let's take a look. Now, NanoBanana is so quick at doing this, and some results, as we know, are better than others, but it can do simple things. For example, change this floor to a flagstone floor. It can add wallpaper to a wall. It can add this fabric to a sofa. And also I've gone in and shown you how you can change the scale of the fabric on that sofa. Here it's changed the colors of this back panel to white oak. And I've had a little bit of failure in actually changing curtain material. So I wanted to change these drapes to this fabric here. And what it actually did was end up adding in a different panel. I tried it a number of times, and I also then took it into Photoshop and used NanoBanana in Photoshop. And again, the results were better, but not perfect. I'm continuing to explore. And as I explore a bit more and experiment a bit more, I'll be adding in the prompts into the design success circle so that you can see what works and what doesn't. In addition, I'm also creating another video on NanoBanana in Photoshop. We'll go through the whole workflow. So even if you are a complete newbie in Photoshop, you'll be able to follow along and create some great images. So I've also tried to create some textures. Now, honestly, I think that still textures aren't quite perfect. In NanoBanana, I had mixed results. It was okay, but I wouldn't say it was particularly perfect. But in this example here, I asked it to give a 3-dimensional feel to a fabric swatch that I could add on to a mood board. And you can see I changed this handle to black powder coated matte. I created a macro image of this texture, basically to give some more detail to that fabric so a client could see kind of that it was sort of a nubbly and not a flat texture. I asked it to change materials. You can see from this image here, we've got a marble, and I asked it to change it to a print terrazzo. I gave an example of that pink terrazzo as well. It could very, very easily change the finish of the kitchen cabinets here. In this section, we're going to look at furniture and product concepts. We're going to invent new product ideas, adjust scale and proportions, generate alternate views, cut out catalog products and put them onto plain backgrounds, and place product images into styled interiors. So I have used NanoBanana to create concepts for products and concepts for interiors. So the first thing is we can create an image on a white background, and you can see here I have this inspiration image of this chair, and I wanted to change it to a black structure without these brass details, and it could do it extremely well. Then I asked it to give me multiple views of that chair, and you can see here there's a side view. There's an issue here. It has an extra piece here that wasn't apparent in the original image, but we were able to resolve that. And you'll see all the prompts in the design success circle. I asked it to do some technical drawings. So there are slight issues with this, but nothing that Photoshop or Canva couldn't fix. Again, I asked it to do some front elevations, side elevations, top views, and I tried to explode it, and mixed results here, but still kind of fun to look at. And eventually, once I get something right, I think what I want to do is create some videos. So again, we've got some other section details, some axonometric drawings. Then I asked it to design me a product based on a particular style. So you can see here's an example. I asked it to change the proportions of a furniture piece. So I liked this coffee table, but I think the legs are too thick. So it was able to do that. Asked it to show me different angles of that furniture piece, and it was able to do that. So there's a view from height, and then an orthographic top-down view. Then I asked it to do a top view plan. And I asked it to do a front elevation with the materials. Then I asked it to remove backgrounds. It could remove the backgrounds, but it still gives you a white background, even when downloaded as a JPEG or a PNG. So you'll still have to whip it into Photoshop or Canva or the tool of your choice to remove the background, or even ChatGPT can do this for you. I asked it to place this furniture into an environment, and then I gave it this mood board and I asked it to create an interior based on those furniture pieces in the mood board. Now I gave it two different types of mood boards, an overlapping mood board and where everything was very clearly separated. And I do suggest the ones where the furniture was separated worked much better. You can see when I gave it the overlapping, these are results that bears no relation to what the images. I think it just got very, very confused as to where to look, and it didn't like the fact that I've overlapped it. But when I actually separated them out, you can see it is very, very close. One thing it did do is it always seemed to put a television in a living room. So if you don't want the television, I would make sure that you make that very explicit in your prompt. In this section, we're going to check out exterior and architecture studies. We're going to repaint facades with specific paint codes, apply new cladding materials, add extensions such as pergolas, balconies or decks, change landscaping, to name a few. So I found this plan on Pinterest and I wanted to change it from a 2D plan to a 3D isometric model. Was able to do this very, very well. I took a screenshot of a model that I found just randomly in SketchUp Warehouse, then asked it to transform it into photorealistic render. You can see here it did a pretty good job. You can play around with the lighting, with the textures of the materials. I asked it to give different perspectives of the room. So this is, I think I've referred to this before, and you can see it did it very well. I asked it to create a render from a floor plan, and you can see here, I asked it that the render was viewed from the front looking towards the kitchen. There were a few small issues here, but essentially it did do a great job. I asked it to create a CAD rendering from a Google Street View. So here's an image of an Art Deco building, and it was able to create this CAD drawing. I asked it to create an elevation drawing from a plan. Again, few different issues. I think if I played around with the prompt, I could improve that, but it did understand what I wanted it to do. So you can see here, I actually went a little bit more specific and gave it a very detailed prompt, and you can see it did a better job. You can also create drone style images. So here's a drone style image of a living room. And then I wanted to have this image, which I created in Midjourney, and I wanted to get a drone view of this living room, and you can see it's done it very, very well. It's got the carpet, it's got the lighting, it's got the position of that person, and so on. Then I asked it to combine images. So I took these two images and asked it to combine them, and you can see it's put the sofa into the image. It's kept a similar color. The results are not exact, but they are extremely close. So if you wanted to combine two images to see what something looks like together, this could be, an interesting way to play around with it. You can also add markups. So here's a floor plan and add a clear diagrammatic markup, and you can see it's done it well. Then I asked it with another image. You can see here it's actually managed to demarcate that dining area. Then you can go outside and ask it to repaint facades with specific paint codes. So I actually gave it a code of an Australian paint manufacturing, Natural Right, and gave it the code. and I asked it to keep the doors, windows unchanged, and you can see it has done it extremely well. I gave it this image of a house and asked it to replace the facade with some timber slats. It did it extremely well, keeping everything else consistent in that image. And you can even see that if you look at the reflection, it's actually followed that reflection of the timber slats here. I've asked it to add extensions. We've got this front view of home, and I asked it to add in a timber pergola over that deck, climbing greenery, which is done. And I've asked it to maintain the scale, done a great job. And here see a landscape transformation. So as you can see, I have literally just touched the surface. I'm going to be adding more and more use cases. So as I continue to test and continue to generate images, you will see them and the prompts here. I'll continue to document it. So hopefully this will be a really, really comprehensive resource that you can look at if you're trying to do something specific. And don't forget, it is a community. So if you've got any questions that you would like or things that don't work, please pop in here and ask advice. I'd love to hear from you and give you a hand. All right. So those were 20 plus use cases that I've been testing in NanoBanana, and I'm continuing to test even more. You can continue checking out my tests in my community. But here's the thing, seeing examples is one thing. Actually making the tool work for you is another. So let me wrap up with a few pro tips that will save you frustrations and help you get better results. Now, if you're trying this out and the results aren't quite what you expected, don't worry, that's completely normal. These tools don't always nail it on the first try. The real skill isn't just running one prompt, it's knowing how to refine it. Sometimes it's as simple as breaking your request into smaller steps, or being more specific about the material, the color code, or the camera angle. Other times, the fastest way to improve your results is to actually run your prompt through ChatGPT and ask it to rewrite it for you. You'll often get a cleaner, more detailed version that gets you much closer to what you want. And that's really the point I made in the intro. The tools are moving fast, but if you focus on learning how to troubleshoot and refine, you'll always get better results, no matter what platform you're using. Second, it's important to know that NanoBanana embeds something called Synth ID, an invisible watermark inside every image. So if you're using NanoBanana in Gemini, you'll notice that there is a visible watermark. So even if you remove that invisible watermark that appears if you generate your images in Gemini, Google can still detect that image was AI generated. So why does this matter? If you're presenting visuals to clients, you need to be transparent about what's being created with AI. Thirdly, let's be clear, NanoBanana is not replacing Photoshop. Photoshop isn't as complicated as people say, and I've got a video coming out soon that will show you exactly how to use both side by side for total control. If it's live, you'll see the link up here. And of course, subscribe and hit that bell so that you don't miss a thing. And finally, remember, prompt engineering is a skill. The more you practice writing, testing, and refining prompts, the better your results will test. Use tools like ChatGPT as a prompt coach and start building a library of prompts that you can adapt and reuse across projects. That way, no matter how fast AI tools evolve, you'll have a skill set that always applies. I've already created a video that breaks down the principles of prompt writing, which you'll see in the description. You can use these principles to help ChatGPT refine your prompts. So here's the bottom line. NanoBanana is incredible for precise editing, but like any AI tool, it's moving fast. What matters isn't memorizing a workflow, it's learning the skills to adapt across tools. That's why I'm not going to create a course. You'll see everything that I create inside my community. So if you'd like to see all the prompts, tests, and results I'm sharing, join me inside this community, the Design Success Circle. I'll leave a link in the description, and stay tuned for my next video where I'll show you how to use Photoshop alongside NanoBanana for even more control. When it goes live, you'll find it up here. And make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you don't miss a thing.